Hello and welcome to Stillness In Success. I'm your host, Mustafa Nuristani. And today I've got a very beautiful and very intelligent international guest for you, connecting from a different part of the world with me. And before I introduce my guest, I would like to remind you to share this podcast. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't yet, and leave a comment. So today it's my great joy to welcome to the program the National Director of the TM organization in New Zealand, Stuart Vernon. Hi, Stuart. Welcome.
Hello, Mustafa. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
It's really nice to speak with you. And, you know, I've heard so many great things about Stuart and Stuart being the pioneer of education in Cambodia and spending time on Maharishi's Purusha program. So we have a lot of things to talk about today. First of all, I want to know, when did you learn to meditate? How old were you?
I was 19 when I learned, young boy, and I think I was a seeker. I'd realized there was something within that I wanted to uncover, and various things led me to learning TM. Yeah.
Okay, good. And what were those various things?
Well, I think when I was young, I always felt there was something inside that was there to be discovered. I didn't know what it was. It's hard to put my sort of finger on it. And, I was playing sport and things like that as a way to sort of, fulfill my potential. I did an outward bound course in New Zealand, which is sort of a survival course. And I think that woke me up a little bit to, the power that's within, and also the power that, you see in nature, you experience nature in a very profound way that you haven't done before, and you experience yourself and have insights, experience others. It was a 1-month course. So I think that sort of set me on the path. My dad also came back once from work with a cassette tape, which was a muscle relaxation kind of thing, which he threw on the bed, and I tried it, and I had quite some experience. Once off, sort of an Irish, relax your muscles like this, and you go through the body, and yeah, I felt some expansion of my consciousness and my body sort of becoming, heavy and unbounded. And so it woke me up to some reality. But it wasn't, I think when I was at university, I started to get some migraines and a few sleeping issues. And I was keen to re-tap into that experience I'd had from the Outward Bound course. So I think I met some people that did meditation. I didn't know about Transcendental Meditation at the time, but I found a book in the library on meditation, Buddhist meditation, actually, which was the first type I tried. It was, focusing on the breath and various things. And I knew I was on the right track. I was having some nice inner experiences, but I think feeling a little lost. I needed someone to guide me. And also I found it wasn't as integrated with outside life. So I think I was still searching for a technique, and I was in a library and found this book, 7 States of Consciousness by Anthony Campbell, where it was basically saying opposite everything I'd learned about meditation. Yeah, it doesn't have to take a long time. The mind goes and it can experience this samadhi very quickly. It's the first experience the mind can get, and it's easy. And there was a picture of Maharishi who was glowing in bliss and wisdom, and that said it enough for me. So I was quite prepared to go to America. I was studying in Christchurch at the time, and I thought, maybe I'll have to travel somewhere to the States to learn this technique, and I was quite prepared to do it. I happened to look through the yellow pages in Christchurch, and there was a teacher, Dr. David Lovell Smith, and his parents taught me. It all happened very quickly.
Beautiful.
So, yeah.
Great. Now, you mentioned something there, which perhaps maybe the listeners will not know. You said when you read in the book, it said that you can have direct experience of the samadhi. And the samadhi is that experience, which is the ultimate experience of yoga. So if there are 8 limbs of yoga, and we have, asanas, pranayama, devotion, all of these things that you do, And then number 8 is the experience of samadhi, which is the experience of union of the individual consciousness with the universal consciousness. It's just becoming one, singularity. And that's what we call samadhi. And so if someone doesn't know what you said, like, what does it mean? I think it's important that we clarify that. So then you got addicted to the experience of samadhi after your TM. I can imagine because
Gotta get addicted to something.
You went on and you did the advanced programs as well.
Yeah, it took me a couple of years to decide to do the advanced programs. And I think the reason that I took it was I used to meditate at the TM Center in Christchurch. And whenever I would do my TM, I didn't know at the time, but there was a city, people practicing the city program there was a garage just outside the center, and I'd hear the cars come in, and I'd be doing, and often towards the end of my TM, I'd feel this wave. It was like a wave of transcendence, deep, and I'd fall asleep. It happened every single time, and it was so deep. And then I'd come out and I'd hear the cars leaving, and this went on. Yeah, and I asked some people. I said, "What's going on over there?" And they said, "Oh, that'll be when they're flying." And I thought, gosh, whatever they're doing, it's powerful. I can feel it. And so that sort of gave me the experience in a way to know that it was pretty powerful. And I liked the siddhas. They were sort of joyful and normal people, just pleasant, really fun, blissful. So I thought, okay, great, I'd like to do that. Yeah, so I did the TM City program in Wellington. We had a big...
Show us, what is this TM City program?
Well, basically with Transcendental Meditation, you learn how to dive. So this is Transcendental Meditation. You experience subtle levels of the mantra, and then whether you experience it clearly or not, you may have times when you lose the mantra and have no mantra, no thought. And this is an experience of pure consciousness, or this experience of samadhi, which Mustafa mentioned. There are many words for it. Whether you experience it clearly or not, it doesn't matter. In each meditation, you're diving in and out many times. The City program is some techniques which we add on to our TM practice, and they operate from the level of transcendental consciousness. Once you've gained that level, or at least through practicing TM regularly for some months, some level of pure consciousness is sort of established within you, then there are some techniques called the TM City program, which one can learn. And they come from Maharishi Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, which like 5,000 years old, the written records of these. And Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, he looked into these Patanjali Yoga Sutras, and he understood the correct practice, how to actually make these sutras work. And they work only when you have transcendental consciousness. This is the missing thing. If you just picked up the book and read these particular sutras, they wouldn't have much effect. But when you learn how to use these techniques from the level of transcendental consciousness, they start to work, because you're you're operating from the home of all the laws of nature. And nature can easily fulfill these using these specific sutras that we learn. And one of the
sutras mean aphorisms?
Yes, they have a meaning. Mantra in TM has no meaning. It just takes us up, down, and up like that. But these sutras, they're called aphorisms, and they have a meaning, a purpose. And when we use these in the correct way, again, very effortless and easy way that Maharishi teaches you on the course, they activate things within you, all sorts of potentialities that are there within us all. And they just speed up, actually. It's tremendously deep and joyful to practice, just like TM. You explore much more the transcendental field and awaken to the potential that's down there. And all the human qualities start to get, enlivened. The technique, it has an effect, actually, of giving inner peace. So we know this in TM. The city program is even more profound. And when practiced in a group, which is what I experienced when I was falling asleep in the chair in that other room, feeling this wave of silence. So when you get a group of people practicing together, experiencing their own inner peace, the transcendental consciousness, and enlivening it through one of the sutras, is a rather remarkable one when you first hear it, but very natural once you learn it. It's called the yogic flying technique, which is a sutra which develops bliss. You get this bubbling up of this bliss which is deep within that just flows through the cells of the body. And the bliss is so intense, actually, that the body just wants to hop, lift up in these short hops. And it's the bliss that just lifts you up off the ground. And it's a collective bliss. When you do it in a group, it amplifies. And from physics, they know there's an amplification of, like a laser beam. You take lots of individual rays of light and bring them together and put them in unison so that the waves are going up and down coherently with each other. And then you get this amplification, which can be hundreds, thousands of times more than the individual waves. So like that, when in a group practicing the city program, it enlivens the unified field and it creates actually brainwave coherence, which is what they've found. Very high brainwave coherence individually, and collectively this radiates out from the group. So you get this tremendous inner exhilaration through the practice. And as the body lifts up, then this radiates out through the walls, out into the environment. And when the group's big enough, it can influence towns, cities, even whole countries. There's been a lot of research which shows you can have a peace-creating effect, on your city and country and even the whole world if you have a really large size group. So there's been around 40, 50 studies now showing this effect. So I was very passionate about this. I love the practice for my own benefit, but I love the idea that we can do something to remove collective stress, not just our own individual stress, but in a group we can contribute to removing stress from others who are not meditating, because the countries need it.
Yeah, it's really a beautiful point, Stuart, because when we meditate, when we do TM, we are also enlivening that peace within ourselves. And so Maharishi in the 1970s said that when 1% of a population practices TM, then we can expect the whole population to go in the right direction of peace, prosperity, harmony. Accidents will be less and mistakes will be less and hospital admissions will be less and disease and disorder will reduce as well. And then this TM City program, which you described, and you see the beautiful thing about the TM City program, you said it so nicely that it really is more powerful than the TM technique. And when you have not learned it, it in fact is so powerful that you can't have the experience. And that's where you completely just fall, like have a blackout moment where you're just deep in the transcendent, but your awareness is not able to fathom that reality, that power that is within. And so that's why I imagine you would be sitting in the next room, and as soon as they start radiating this peace, which is so palpable, which is so powerful, and it just radiates out, and all of a sudden you experience the wave, but then your awareness is not accustomed to that reality yet. And so then you just lights off, you're gone into a state of complete unbounded awareness where the physiology has no experience of anything. And then you wake up fresh and clear and you're like, I want that. What is that? Mm-hmm. And that's because our being is so addicted to that reality. Our being is feeling expanded. Normally we are in the, restrictions of the physiology, and we want freedom, we want happiness, we want expansion, but we don't know how to get that with the outside, with money or with holidays or with, they're all great things, but you can't get that freedom from whatever you do in activity. So when you have this experience of transcendental consciousness and then it's magnified with the TM City program, then it's on a different level where you feel infinite freedom, infinite freedom. And this bubbling bliss that you are talking about is such an incredible experience. It's like, when you watch the kettle boil, when you put the kettle on and you've got like a glass kettle and you can see what is happening. And then one little bubble comes and then the second, and you're like, oh, it's getting warm now. And then it starts bubbling. And then it's just uncontrollable bliss. And that's what the experience of the city program is. And it is so addictive. So it was so addictive. We'll talk about what you did for 8 years, where you were just doing like 10, 12 hours of the city program each day in a minute. But then you decided that you were going to become a teacher. After you learned the TM City program, you decided to become a teacher. That just wasn't enough to just do the city program. You wanted more.
Yeah, I think I realized just how powerful this technique was. And I just thought, gosh, there's not enough teachers, and what a beautiful thing to be able to share with others. So it was just from that point of view. I started working even as a siddhar in one of the local TM centers. And that was a beautiful experience because people would come into the center. I was even trained how to give introductory lectures. And you'd see people come in with the baggage of stress and problems. You'd explain to them. I didn't know so much. I just explained my own experience and some basics of TM and how it could help. And surprisingly, people must have picked up this was good or like me. And so I had quite a few people wanting to learn. And then a teacher was teaching them. And I would see, within a few days, they'd leave and they were different people. The worries were gone and they were just like appreciative and joyful. And it was like quite a transformation just in a few short days. So I'd already had a taste of the first steps. I thought I want to have the whole package. So I went to Spain. There's a big international course there and trained. It was a 4.5 month immersion, total immersion, where you just live and breathe and sleep. Just everything you need to know about transcendental meditation, its benefits, how to teach it, all the different experiences, how to explain to all different people from all different walks of life, in education and health and government, and all the tools you need really to be a successful teacher you gain. Yeah.
And then, so, the teacher program for TM is very rigorous. It's not like a, 200-hour little course that you do online. And then you've got your little certificate after 200 hours and I'm ready to teach TM. There is the home learning component, which you did. And then now it's 5.5 months that we go for a full immersive experience. I went for 5.5 months and I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to leave. I was like, I don't want to go out of here because it's such an oasis of peace and bliss and harmony and synchronicity. And you just feel completely one with the whole universe. And I was like, I don't want to go out there. And then you have to go. And then you explained it so well with the transformation that you see with your students, the transformations from when they come, when they talk to you on the phone, you can hear how stressed they are, how life has really been so challenging for them. And somehow the universe has given them this nudge, this little hint that, do something about it. And then they're like, oh, I just randomly, someone told me about TM, or I just randomly found you on Google. But there's nothing random in life. It's because we are evolving and because we have good within us that the universe gives us this signal. I mean, there are billions of people, and what's the chance of you looking at something like this and you didn't see it 20 years ago, but now all of a sudden you're noticing it. It's because you're ready. So then they come, they get their instruction. And the other thing, Stuart, so beautiful about teaching TM is that we don't give them a lot of theory. Oh, this will happen, this will happen, this will happen. You should expect this to happen, this. It's not like that. Like all the other meditations that I did, it was all like just giving me all of these things that I might experience. And so watch out for it. And I'll just be sitting there like waiting, where is this experience? And in TM, we just say, okay, come, day one, we give the experience. That's the beautiful thing about it. Day one, you have the experience. And then from then on, the experience is built with knowledge to substantiate everything that you're experiencing within. And then the student is feeling so much more fulfilled because you're directly addressing their experiences. So it's very unique in the way Maharishi has designed this whole TM course, because it's experience and then knowledge, experience and knowledge, and that creates integration of the individual and the experiences of the pure consciousness. So it's really beautiful. Now, you also have spent some time in Cambodia. You went there and you were teaching with the Australian group. So Australia was also a big part of teaching TM in Cambodia. What was that like? Can you give us briefly some ideas of what you did there? What was the project?
Yeah. I found out about the project from the Australian organization, who had already started things there. And also, I'd heard Maharishi had spoken about this part of the world, Southeast Asia, as being a big, like a stress spot in a way, and that world consciousness, that spot needed to be released, that stress, to create a more peaceful world. And there had been a lot of stress with the Khmer Rouge. It was very, horrific sort of history there in that country. I was pretty innocent. I just thought I would go there. There was a university which had been started with the Cambodian government and the Australian Aid for Cambodia Fund, which was an NGO created by the Australian TM movement. And it was 1991, 92, I think, that the university was first started. And it was one of these miracle kind of projects where right in the countryside, which was poorest province of the country with no roads or anything, somehow we managed to build, huge halls for over 500 students, some classrooms, some accommodation for students, and the Cambodian government helped with registering students. So we had over 500 students enrolled in the first year. We had management faculty, agriculture faculty. There was also a natural Ayurveda faculty in the beginning. And I was fascinated to be at a university where TM was part of the curriculum, where SCI, which is this foundational course, was part of the curriculum. Students were learning
SCI,
the science of,
science of creative intelligence. Yes.
Yeah, this is a course which gives you all the theory about transcendental meditation and how it relates to one's studies, how it relates to the life that we see outside. So it's very important course.
And it is a course that is taught once you learn transcendental meditation. So it's not something that you learned before. Once you've got the technique and you've transcended, then you can take this course, which expands your experiences to a greater heights.
Mm-hmm. So that was the foundational course that all students, they learnt as part of the studies. I had about 170 students in my Science of Creative Intelligence class, which is quite eye-opening. Not the usual numbers you get for these. How
did you mark them? You spent the whole year marking their first first homework.
Well, no, of course we had translators, which was very helpful.
Good.
They were very good, actually. Cambodians are very simple people. They've grown up in the farm. And a lot of these concepts, water the root to enjoy the fruit, things like this, they really, it just gels with them. And
yes.
If you smile at nature, nature will smile at you. So this thing of supportive nature, when you do good, you get good coming back. So that they really, really picked it up. And they loved this course. Translating was a challenge. I remember, you teach these, we talk about the unified field of natural law, which, and the way some students were understanding that, we found out after a few months, was one rice field in the middle of the forest. Unified field, one field, natural law. Natural law is just fire. As far as they're concerned. So it took a few months. Yeah, and we suddenly realized there was some basics. So, it's a challenge.
in the knowledge. That's fine. But the
Yeah, yeah.
beautiful is that they had transcendental meditation. So even if the translation wasn't as perfect, the experience was already there, and that's why it resonated with them.
They loved it. Yeah, they'd meditate
How
first
many
thing.
years were you in Cambodia? How many years
Well,
did
I
you
didn't
spend?
plan on staying so long. I was there for a year initially and loved it. I thought, gosh, this is amazing. We had TM in the curriculum, there was SCI, there was group meditation, there was a peace creating. We're having this advanced city program being taught. We had Vaidyas, these are Ayurvedic doctors from India, were over, and they had a little hospital creating local medicines, working with the locals and reawakening the whole traditional medicine in Cambodia. And they were treating the locals in the villages with natural Ayurvedic medicines. And I thought this was just terrific. So I came back for a second spell after a year. And then some of the local leaders, the Australian leaders, they'd been there a while and it was tough conditions. So they were wanting to leave. Some of them left. And then it was like, well, who's going to help run this thing, So I sort of put my hand up. Oh, well, out of default, really, I started to help manage the university with the Cambodian government. And yeah, we continued the university. It was a 4-year bachelor degree, management, and it got more complicated as the years went by. We had students would branch into human resource management, accounting, and marketing. Those were the 3 specializations. And in agriculture, we had agronomy, natural resource management, and rural development. So, we had to find volunteer teachers. We had over 130 volunteers, many from Australia. And big shout out, the Australian movement just spearheaded this whole project. We had some great Michael Thompson and great leaders and volunteers over the years that helped. It was a miracle project and it did so much good for Cambodia and the nearby environment. And actually, one of the highlights I've discovered, it was in my first year of being there, we had a city program, which was the first ever that had been in Cambodia, possibly since the Angkor Wat days or earlier. They had this tremendous civilization. If anyone's been there, highly advanced, probably one of the most advanced in the world at the time. And meditation was part of the life, the monks, and it's written in their scriptures. So they may have had these advanced techniques, powerful techniques, but certainly our city program was the first time in a long time that this enlivenment of the transcendent and this yogic flying and activation was suddenly made lively again. And I remember seeing some of the experiences of these students and the workers, simple workers that really had no high level of intellectual understanding, as simple as you could get, but just the joyful experience of their TM cities. And we knew it was having an effect. We didn't quite know what. I was at the university, and I remember coming back after the city course to the city, and everyone was saying, "Oh, well done." I said, "What's happened?" They said, "Oh, the Khmer Rouge, which had been lively, active in Cambodia for many, many years and created a lot of security issues, certainly when I was there with the west of Cambodia and landmines. They decided to, there was this government decided to welcome them back into their forces, and they handed in their arms, and within a few months, the Khmer Rouge were no more. And
Amazing.
it was an amazing thing. It was this coherence from the university with the TM plus these siddhas. We had about 150 that had just learned, and it's radiating this power throughout the country. And that was just an indication that, harmony was growing in Cambodia.
Beautiful. Absolutely. And this has been researched nearly 50 times, where we put the group in and we take the group out, and you see the results, the statistics going up and down, up and down. And when it happens so many times, you can't really deny the reality of the effectiveness of this program. And when, like, you had that experience in your own subjective meditation, where you would just completely just lie down and not have any experience. Now, when you create these groups of siddhas, especially young and stress-free physiologies of these beautiful students and people who work on the land, then they radiate that peace and you see harmony all over. Now, Stuart, I'm deeply grateful for you taking the time to come and speak with us today. There's so many more things that I want to speak with you about. I know that you spent 8 years full time on the experience of the self in Maharishi's Purusha program, which is another huge part of the organization, and another session, another episode needs to be dedicated to that. So maybe I'll request that you make some more time and we come back and you tell us about what this Purusha program is, which is just quickly, it's for single men who want to spend more time experiencing their self, and they do the TM and the TMCD program over extended periods. And so it's like a full immersive experience, and you did that for 8 years, which is quite an achievement to be able to be in deep silence for that long. So that's why you look so good and you're so integrated and you've got so much bliss. And we're, again, really deeply grateful for you to join us today. Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you, Mustafa. It's been a pleasure.
Great. And thank you for your company and attending to this beautiful episode with the National Director of New Zealand, Stuart Vernon. Please make sure that you subscribe and share this episode with your family and friends, and we look forward to your company